So there's been a lot of great stories from the World Cup in 2026, but one of those in particular has been Norway. Going to the quarterfinals, they're a country of just over 5.5 million people, and they reached the quarterfinals. Compared to the U.S., over 300 million people in the U.S., 350 million people. Um, so it's not about a lack of talent. People want to say, "Oh, the best," that excuse of the best athletes in the U.S. If our best athletes played soccer, that's the weakest argument. It's a horrible argument. You have a country like Norway, 5.5 million people, and they reached the quarterfinals. It was a fan who was interviewed. It's on Instagram. I believe it's reposted on my Instagram. Check it out. And the guy asked him, "Hey, why is Norway? What happened with Norway? Like, kind of come out of nowhere?" And he said, number one, our youth soccer programs are funded by the government, by gambling, surplus and gambling money that the government receives, again, through people gambling. He said that's a huge part of it, right? That funds it. And if you look at around the world, governments they provide funding for the youth soccer clubs. That's a huge reason that people don't have to fork over thousands a year just for their kids to play. And then now with that, your middle and lower class families can afford for their kids to play because you have help from the government. That's number one. Number two, he said another interesting thing. He said, we don't put all of our best players on one team and then have the lower players in another team. It's like we have mixed teams with skills. He said because you got to invest in everybody. He said, a player that doesn't, that peaks at eight, or they look really good at eight, you know, that's fine and all, but what about the kid who's 8 years old and is not, developed all the way or to his potential? He could develop at 15. Every kid has a different rate of development, and that is so true. And that's not the way we look at things here in the U.S. It's just, hey, we'll just put the best kids right in with the best players, right away, kind of thing. And there's something to say about mixed teams. It can definitely help. But I thought that was really interesting. It's kind of like they develop players for the long haul. Where in the U.S., we're not even our coaches in a lot of these teams. Most of the coaches and teams aren't thinking about development. They're thinking about winning tournaments that honestly don't really mean anything. They don't mean anything, these tournaments that they win. Oh, you get a medal. Okay, that's nice. But it's not helping, at all. So very interesting interview. It's just, the U.S. needs to learn from other countries. I think the U.S. is so used to being a trailblazer with things, but even though as big as the U.S. is, we can learn from other countries. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of pride there. And unfortunately, too, it's mostly about money. Hopefully, at some point, things will change.